haven't gone to a Barnes and Nobles for years now. Years and years. I know it's pretty sad, but I used to love going to Barnes and Nobles as a kid. I remember my parents always taking us, my sister and I, to Barnes and Nobles. Yeah, it's, good memories. But yeah, I'm very, very excited to bring you this video and go over this book with you guys. So it's called The Conspiracy Files: History's Greatest Secrets Revealed. It's written by, I believe it's written by Leo Moynihan. I think that's how you pronounce it there. But yeah, let's go over the back here real quick. Conspiracy theories are nothing new. History is littered with stories that offer the flip side to the accepted truth, and the cases gathered here cover a wide array of subjects, including aliens, secret societies, government cover-ups, and celebrity deaths. Ooh, that is very interesting. I actually didn't read that backside before buying this. It's very interesting. Explore intriguing tales that suggest pictures of the moon. Pictures of the moon landings were faked. Jesus was married to Mary Magdalene. The world is run by lizards from outer space. A nuclear explosion caused the 2004 tsunami. Each compelling case covers the facts we think we know and the theories that have been presented since. Looking at the evidence and the different scenarios, we discuss how credible these theories are and how they have changed our view of events. Contemporary photos help set the scene and introduce you to the key figures in these alternative realities. Wow, it's very interesting. It says here on the side, we so often wonder what really happened, and conspiracy theories abound on every topic, from who killed JFK to whether the earth is flat and if COVID-19 was just an excuse for global state control. Fake news has become a mainstream phenomenon, and our innate desire to question the facts presented to us has led to more outlandish but captivating theories. Open the conspiracy files for some of the most gripping, curious, and bizarre suggestions. Oh wow. I think this book's gonna be really, really interesting. So these are the contents. I kinda like skipping that just because I wanna get surprised. I'm the type of person that I hate spoilers. I just absolutely hate spoilers. But yeah, let's start off with the introduction here. In May 2011, President Barack Obama made an address to the White House Correspondents Association dinner. He started with "My fellow Americans," with an ironic emphasis on fellow, irrobusting to the recent conspiracy theory that he was not born in the United States and therefore not a legitimate president. In the audience that that night was Donald Trump, a loud believer in theory. But with Obama's birth certificate recently proving it to be false, the president went on to mock his daughter-in-chief. I know that he's taken some flack lately. No one is prouder to put the birth certificate matter to rest than Donald, and that's because he can finally get back to the issues that matter. Like, did we fake the moon landing? What really happened in Roswell? And where are Biggie and Tupac? It was a brilliant retort, bringing wild laughter in the room, online, science alike. But 5 years later, Trump himself would take the front door keys to the White House from Obama. Much of the support he gathered and the fake news he advocated provoked that within politics and the modern world as a whole, there is still very much an appetite for questioning the status quo. Conspiracy theories remain as prevalent today as they ever have. In the Conspiracy Files, we delve into the fascination, looking closely at the theories that continue to intrigue and anger those who believe in them. By definition, a conspiracy theory is the belief that powerful but covert groups are responsible for an unresolved event or phenomenon with sinister motives and often harmful consequences. These theories have become more widespread in recent years with the advent of the internet, but they have always been around. In this book, we will look back at historic examples such as the widely held belief that Jesus was married and perhaps even had children, and that Adolf Hitler faked his death and lived out his life in South America. We have been intrigued by fame and celebrity throughout history, so theories surrounding the rich and famous will always be popular. In these pages, we will examine conspiracies concerning eminent clarity, such as Princess Diana, Elvis Presley, and Marilyn Monroe. Less glamorous but equally compelling are the more powerful secrets kept from us in the darkest stretches of the world's corridors of power. From North and South America to Australia, we examine the suspicious fate of leaders, both political and criminal, such as John F. Kennedy, Pablo Escobar, and Harold Holt. We also look closely at the alleged sinister cover-ups that continue to interest and engage theorists. From the strange case in France in the 1950s that saw almost a whole village suffer a mass poisoning with psychotic consequences, or the very recent belief that the COVID-19 pandemic was in fact purposely engineered. Some you may believe, some you may not, but one thing is certain: the conspiracy files are open and they certainly are fascinating. And then there's a little Apollo 11 picture in the bottom. You see it here. And then basically says, did the spacecraft Apollo 11 really land on the moon in 1969, or were the pictures faked as part of an audacious lunar cover-up? Who knows? 1. The rich and famous. We only ever get to see the premieres, the gigs, and the expensive gowns, so it is little wonder that we have long had a fascination with the rich and famous and what really goes on in their lives away from the flashing bulbs. In this chapter, we will look at Brazil's Ronaldo, the best soccer player on the planet at the time. Was he forced to play in the 1998 World Cup final by his sportswear brand most famous and wanted man on earth, all that the US government had us believe. Interesting. So, this is the death of Diana. Okay, so I'll read this chapter, and then I think that's gonna be it for the video. So let's continue on. So, the death of Diana, the conspiracy. Princess Diana was murdered. Location: Paris, France. Date: August 31st, 1997. A sea of flowers stretches out from Kensington Palace in London, once the home of Princess Diana. But now, deep in mourning, strangers console one another in a unifying show of unparalleled grief all over the world. A public touched by a very modern royal share a global outpouring of love and heartache. The death of Diana, Princess of Wales, in a car crash in Paris on a warm summer's night in 1997 was a devastating loss to so many who felt they knew her. However, with that affection came also a deep sense of anger and suspicion towards those they held responsible. A quarter of a century after the fatal accident, there are many who remained wholly unconvicted that this was an accident at all. And despite an inquiry looking closely at what went on the night, suspicion and mistrust remain as potent as the original show of love and grief. By the summer of 1997, Princess Diana, born Lady Diana Spencer, seemed to be in a happy place. A new upturn in her largely troubled and usually public life. Since the breakdown of her marriage to the future King of England 5 years later, Diana had struggled to find peace, but now, desperate to keep her two boys out of the spotlight and to offer some sort of normality to their lives, it looked from the outside as if she had found her own happiness in the limelight. In 1995, Diana had done a television interview with the BBC's Panorama show in which she, in no uncertain terms, put across her side of the marriage to Prince Charles, admitting that it had been a crowded one due to her husband's love for another woman, Camilla Parker Bowles. But 2 years later, her divorce finalized, free from official royal duties but still able to influence the world. Her recent anti-landmine campaign was a huge success. Diana was enjoying her first public relationship since Charles. She and Dodi. There's a picture of her right here. And it says, a princess alone, but Diana was in a happy place in the weeks before her tragic accident. Al-Fayed, the son of the billionaire Egyptian businessman Mohammed Al-Fayed, were being photographed. The paparazzi were never far from Diana's movements and were definitely an item. On the morning of August 30th, 1997, Diana was photographed on Dodi's father's yacht off Sardinia, lying on deck together. This seemed to be the start of a new, loving chapter in a turbulent life story. The couple embraced. Diana sat at the boat's bow, her legs hanging off the edge in a show of contentment. The next night, those pictures now adorning the covers of most of the world's newspapers. Diana and Dodi left the Ritz in Paris in a car driven by the hotel's head of security. As ever, they were pursued by eager paparazzi, but this time What turned into a car chase through the city ended in tragedy when their car crashed in a tunnel, killing the couple and their driver. The wreck of the Mercedes W140 in the Font de Lomar tunnel in Paris. So this is a picture of the wreck here. You can see that it's pretty bad. And it's crazy because I heard about her death, but I never knew details on it. That's pretty interesting. The car is totally crashed, like pretty bad. So, a conspiracy. The immediate anger after Diana's death was geared toward the photographers who had chased the car, looking for another photo that the world would be eager to see. There was a sense that photographers had for too long made Diana's life a misery, and some went even as far as to argue that the paparazzi had organized the chase and made sure it was fatal. That they saw and got one final snap. But in time, more grievous claims were made elsewhere. Even Mohammed Al-Fayed stated that he felt that this was far from an accident, that in fact, institutions far from powerful than mere photographers had been behind the death of his son and the princess. Al-Fayed went public saying Diana was pregnant with Dodi's child, going on to say that the royal family could not accept that an Egyptian Muslim could eventually be the stepfather of the future King of England, and that the establishment had plotted the accident, even having her body embalmed immediately to hide the pregnancy. The establishment, the royal family, Britain's security services, this was a concentrated effort from all of them to kill off Diana. It was said that the driver, Henry Paul, was in fact working for Britain's M16. Background checks showed his personal wealth was far from that of a security chief at a Paris hotel, and that there was a claim after his autopsy that he had been drinking, and that influenced the reckless way he was driving. French investigators reported that Paul was 3 times over the French legal drink driving limit, but this was challenged by his employer, Al-Fayed, who hired a pathologist to counter the claims, arguing that his demeanor on the CCTV footage that night was not in line with a drunk man. Suspicious of the official findings, some have argued that those responsible for the deaths swapped Paul's body for someone they know would show high levels of alcohol in his blood. Many of those who suspect foul play point to the car itself, arguing that the Mercedes they were driving had been tampered with and that malfunction at high speed had caused the accident. It is a theory that is consistent with another arguments that stated Diana herself was scared for her life and she had declared real concerns for her safety. Years after her death, Diana's former butler, Paul Pearl, disclosed a letter she'd written. In it, she said, "I am sitting here at my desk today in October longing for someone to hug me and encourage me to keep strong and hold my head high. This particular phase in my life is the most dangerous." Diana went on to say, "The name was withheld. Is planning an accident in my car, brake failure, and serious head injury in order to make the path clear for Charles to marry." Further suspicions were raised by the fact that Diana and Dodi weren't wearing seatbelts. It is said that Diana was always strict about wearing a belt and that her fears for her safety would surely have meant she did that night. Professor Andre Leinhardt, who reviewed the emergency services response for the French government investigation of the incident, went on to say that they had been wearing belts, we'd have been able to save her. So this is Prince Charles with his young sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, inspecting the sea of flowers led by a mourning nation. That is sad stuff. And this is here. There you go. That's Diana's security guard, Trevor Reese Jones on the left, and the driver, Henry Paul, leaving the Ritz in Paris. Reese Jones was the only survivor of the crash. So the one left was the survivor. The skeptics, the hysteria that surrounded the death of Diana, and the many wild accusations that followed was enough for skeptics to distrust the notion of a planned killing. Some said that the world's florist had hatched the plan to sell more flowers, or that Diana and Dodie faked their deaths to live quietly outside for the limelight. Surely any serious claims were as nonsensical. They were as nonsensical as those. There was also Operation Paget, an inquiry set up in 2004 by the British police to investigate conspiracy theories surrounding Diana's death, looking closely and publicly at every aspect of the incident. Suggestions that she was pregnant. Suggestions that she was pregnant were found to be unreliable. Friends giving evidence stated that she was using contraception, and the close confidantes would have known, and it was argued that her quick embalming was due to the August heat in Paris. The official line that the driver had been drunk was backed up by further tests taken on blood and eye samples, and it was argued that Paul was in fact a long-time alcoholic and was therefore able to hide any signs of drinking. Operation Baguette was also given unprecedented access to the files of M15 and M16, and went on to conclude that there was no link to Paul with any of the security services. In 2008, the jury's final verdict was unlawful killing by the driver and the pursuing photographers. And that is it. So we'll be leaving off on the Beatles imposter. So will be page 17. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is a really interesting book. It has many more conspiracy files. I kind of skimmed through it a little bit, but I haven't really read anything else. I just kind of skimmed through it, but I know it does have a lot more interesting things. So again, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. I really do appreciate every single person that watches my videos and likes my videos and comments. To all my subscribers and viewers, thank you so much. You guys have a good one, and I will see you on the next video.